Hey y'all, welcome to Culture Cult. My name is Marie. I am the host of the show, and this is a show where we get to learn about every country in the world, while I also tell you the craziest story from that country. And today we are covering our last country of the season, Denmark. I personally chose this country because I didn't know a damn thing about it. And that's what this podcast is all about. Admit when you don't know shit and then go learn about it. So I didn't know shit about Denmark, and I was like, let's go learn about it. Today we have on fan favorite and OG co-host, a man who loves to wear leopard silk shirts and somehow pulls it off, who can shred on the guitar for real, and can chow down more food at Korean barbecue than you will ever see in your life. It's my friend Kyle. He is back on today, and he's here today because we're going to be talking about the Vikings that come from Denmark and how brutal and savage were they. We're going to also end the episode talking about the mysterious disappearance of one of the largest sailing ships to this day, the Kobenhavn. So let's get into the episode. Okay, yay. Well, we're here recording. I'm in Korea. You're in LA. It's Monday for me. It's Sunday for you.
Mm-hmm. So now we're all caught up. Okay, great.
And we're covering Denmark. I don't think we've covered a cold country yet.
That is actually a good observation. I don't think we have. We've always kept it above 70 degrees, I think, at least.
Yeah, especially because we've covered Guyana, Zimbabwe, Belize, which are all like animals, tropical, safari,
Right.
wild places. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Denmark's wild.
Well, like I said, it depends on where you go and who you ask.
Yeah, true.
If you ask the Vikings, they'd tell you it's pretty fucking wild.
And we are going to learn about that today.
Wow. What a segue.
But actually, no, I had a question before that because since this is the first cold country, this is a genuine question for me. This is advice. You have really good cold weather fashion. Can you give advice on how to dress for cold fashion? Because I don't get it.
I would say think layers.
The problem with layers is that you have to think of every layer. Like, no. I can layer up and look hideous.
I mean, and you do.
And I do that in the winter. Y'all, I cannot. I literally put sweater on sweater on sweater upon puffy jacket, and I look like a walking Michelin man. But then I'm looking at these fucking pictures of people in Sweden and Denmark, and they have like a nice like little scarf, and they have a little sweater on top of another little sweater.
And I would say pea coat would be a great thing that you could do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm in Korea right now, and I just look. I'm trying so hard to match this Korean fashion, but they got one on me. I mean, they dress so
I like
well.
Korean fashion. I like it.
So good.
Yeah, I like it.
It's so good. Yeah. I mean, look at me right now. This is what I look like in the winter. Like I can't.
Yeah.
This isn't me. I don't thrive.
You're not gonna leave the house like that, are you?
I have before.
Oh, you have.
I'm a crop top girl, so that's what I was wondering. Like, if I ever go to Denmark,
you're a summer child.
Yeah, like I even have a crop top under the sweater because I'm like, what else do I wear? Besides a crop top.
The top.
Well, okay. So your advice to people going to Denmark to look fashionable is to wear a pea coat.
Yeah, pea coat. Think layers, and then patterns are fun to mix with solids. Solids are fun to mix with patterns. Patterns are fun to mix with patterns. Have fun with it. Make it you. Don't just fucking go into one store and buy everything and take time. That's what it takes, like to build that, like those layers that you love to wear. Like it takes time, but once you find them, you're like, oh, I can't wait to wear that awesome sweater or pea coat or whatever, and and then you're gonna love layering up. So
yeah, because you like each layer,
right? Exactly. Like, oh, I love the flannel I'm wearing, or the sweater, or and then but always crop top underneath. Obviously.
Always. Male or female.
Right. Yeah. Doesn't matter.
And then I think a good bomber jacket or leather jacket, which you have amazing jackets.
I don't think I've ever seen you wear a leather jacket, actually.
Yeah. I have before in the past, but I wore it a lot in high school, and people called me lesbian a lot. I was asked a lot because I wore only black in leather jackets.
That doesn't say lesbian to me. That says like...
in combat boots.
I mean, it's just goss to me.
It's also just high school. People are ready. Yeah. I was like, okay, leather jacket means lesbian. Got it.
Not at all.
Okay, yay. So that's how we can be fashionable in Denmark. But besides being a cold place, like what do you know about Denmark? Tell me everything.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do too much research. I know that obviously they have a lot of history in terms of like their history is very Norse, and yeah, I mean, I have to say my knowledge of Denmark really does miss the mark. But
Oh,
that's
pun point.
why I'm here, and you better count that pun point.
Okay, wait, this is good. I like that. I actually didn't know much about Denmark either. I was actually calling it Daneland before.
Who told you to call it that?
It
Told you
felt
that?
right. Just
It
how
felt
San
right.
Francisco is called San Fran in my head.
Oh my god.
San Fran, Daneland, these
Oh
sound
man.
really
Yeah. No
nice.
one. No one calls it San Fran though. You just call it the city. People know.
What the city? Which
This.
city?
I know. San Francisco.
Of course.
Duh. The city.
Well, I thought it was like low key called Daneland. And then my cousin was like, "You mean Denmark?" And then I was like, "Uh-oh, we got to cover this country."
Well, like, where
'cause
is Daneland?
I thought it was near. Okay, and also I think I was getting Daneland, quote, and Holland mixed together. And then I realized Denmark is its own thing. And it's actually on top of Germany, as if Germany had a little hat. Didn't know that. Did you know it was on top of
Layers.
Germany? Layers. Layers. Yes. But did you know that? It was on top of Germany?
I mean, yeah, but I never really thought
Okay.
of it as a hat, as Germany's hat. So
Yeah, it's like there's a little trio as the Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. No, Denmark.
Denmark.
Fuck. And I'm the one leading this shit.
Oh boy. Do you want to share your like this? Have me share the screen. Give me the fact.
Okay, so we all know that weirdly you actually still knew more than me, considering I wasn't even calling it the right thing.
What do you say? Weirdly.
Okay, I did know it was cold, so good points for me there.
Okay.
But it's cold and wet. It doesn't really snow,
Right.
which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah,
you're
because you
just
think it'd be a winter wonderland.
No, it's just marshy, wet, and flat, and only 13% is forested.
Oof.
So if you like flat, this is good.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure there are things that can spice it up a little bit over there.
Well, there are a lot of castles.
That's cool.
That's like it has a lot of castles, and one of the castles was it's the Kronborg Castle. It was apparently the setting for Shakespeare's Hamlet, which I was like, what? Okay, it also has a bunch of islands. What is making up for the lack of mountains? Guess how many islands it has?
43.
Okay, no, it's 1,419.
Oh, dang it! That was my next guess.
But this is kind of 443 islands are named, and
So there was a 43
very
in there
close.
somewhere.
Very close, and only 74 are inhabited.
Okay.
So, and I think in the summer the islands is the vibe. Like everyone's island hopping, camping,
Island
canoeing, outdoor festivals.
Nice.
Like
That'd be cool to have an
seems
outdoor
more-
festival on an island. That'd be cool.
in Denmark. I think it's just that's what people do. They just island hop. And it does have a little bit of an incline at one point. Their highest point of elevation is called Millihoy at 171 meters. So it's a slight hill. And
So in
there's
American terms, how big is that?
571 feet.
That is not a hill. I mean, that's kind of a hill. Mountain.
Like it's not a mountain.
Yeah, I'll say it's a mound.
A mound. Okay, yeah. And on top of this mound, there's a cow shed. So if you want to go
cow
visit
mound.
a cow mound. If you want to go
Cow
visit the
mound.
cow mound, that's a very high elevation for Daneland.
Denmark.
Then you can go to Millihoy.
Cow mound.
They also have, this is kind of crazy. Denmark is technically the largest country in Europe. And do you know why?
What? Wait. Denmark is the largest country? Bigger than
Yeah.
Russia?
It's because it includes Greenland and the Faroe Islands.
Man, that does not show on a map very well.
Yeah. And I mean, if you look up Greenland or the Faroe Islands, their geography is like completely different. It's like insane mountains and cliffs and waterfalls going into the ocean and then Denmark is flat. So maybe that's why they colonized it. They're like, we need a fucking mountain.
We
need
need
a
to break
mountain.
the scenery up.
We gotta have something else.
We need more than a mound.
But it's technically the largest country in Europe. I don't know if that's including Russia, because isn't Russia Asia?
I mean, there are parts of Russia that are on the border of Asia, but Russia is typically considered to be a European nation.
Is it?
I mean,
Okay,
European
well,
Asian. It's like that middle ground.
it's that big that it's like two different fucking.
That's why I thought
places.
it'd be Russia. But
Well, according to this fact, no, it's Denmark. This is not a fact. It was an opinion. Everyone's hot.
Really?
Everyone's hot in Denmark. I mean, it's just like Scandinavians in general. They're just like insanely ripped, blonde, blue-eyed, very tall. If you're talking about conventionally hot, that's it.
All right. I actually heard, so my friend who is Turkish and has darker features went, and he said that he never got so much attention from women because he came in with all these darker features.
Yeah.
And everyone up there is more blonde, blue eyes, that you came in with the darker features and you will stand out.
Oh,
100%. I definitely need to book my ticket over there.
We both would be very exotic there. Everyone's blonde. Everyone's the same kind of hot. Mm-hmm. Like having that dark, mysterious, exotic look. I think we both would kill it.
We should go. That's where you should have your 30th birthday.
Fucking Daneland. What's up? Would you rather be in like a really, really hot country where everyone's like a 10? Or would you rather be in like everyone's kind of like a 6, but you become a 10 because you're like, oh shit. And then now you're the most desirable. But then everyone's kind of like.
But then everyone's like a 6. So it's like.
But not everyone. There will be 10s too, just less.
That's a good question. I right now feel like there's no wrong answer there. I feel like for me personally, maybe I would just rather go where everyone. I guess I live in LA, so there's your answer.
Okay, hot take. I don't think LA's that sexy of a place.
Well, you haven't hung around me in a long time, so I think that's why we feel that way.
Are you talking about your household or LA?
My household, my dwellings.
I haven't met your new roommate, so she's still in the consideration. I don't know. Okay, so like when I was in New York, I was like, wait, specifically Brooklyn? Everyone is like so fucking hot. It's insane. And I think it's also the energy that they carry. I was like, this is a different kind of hot. Like I had to step my shit up. But then I feel like if I went to Idaho, I'd be popping off.
Well, especially if you wore a potato sack.
As I do. But I do think the answer for us is to go to Scandinavia because we would be quite sexy there. I think we're going to go there for my 30th. Confirmed.
Done.
Oh, but okay. That was a high. Everyone's hot. Going down. We're going down to a low point. It's very expensive.
So we're going down the mountain now.
Yeah, we're going down the mountain. It's an expensive country, which I feel like people probably already know. But you're going to spend about $70 to $150 a night for a mid-range hotel. That's
normal, though, I would say.
Okay, yeah.
$100, $150 for a typical hotel. Like, pretty standard.
I guess, yeah. But it's just kind of expensive to eat out and stay. I've been in Southeast Asia, so I'm like, that's fucking ridiculous.
Oh my God. Well, yeah.
I think my mind's just, right now that looks too expensive because I was just in Vietnam and I was like, I could get a beer for 40 cents.
That's ridiculous.
So, okay, I guess like it's like New York, LA prices. Just get used to that. And also, it's not Copenhagen, it's Kobenhavn.
Wow. Did not know that.
Did you know that?
I did. Who called it that? That's all I want to know.
Like, if it's Kobenhavn, why is it spelled like Copenhagen?
Yeah, but also, who calls it Kobehavn or whatever?
Can you imagine how douchey you got to be?
Oh, it's
Kobenhavn.
No, it's Copenhagen. Even in Europe, like when I went to Europe, they're like, "Oh, you're going to Copenhagen or it's Copenhagen."
You should correct them.
It's Kobehavn. I'm not going to do that.
You need to correct people, Kyle.
Actually, it's Kobehavn. Kobehavn.
It's Kobenhavn. Why don't you know that?
Kobenhavn.
Yeah, that's how it's pronounced. If you want to be cool, this is a good fact or a bad fact. Depends on how you feel about it. If you live there, the taxes are up to 37 to 52% of your income, but you do get free healthcare and free universities.
That's a lot. That's like you're basically working for the government.
And then if you want to save on top of that, you're going to take home like 20% of your income.
Ouch.
Yeah. So just if you're thinking about moving to Kopenhavn, that's what you need to think about.
Start saving your Kopenhavns.
Okay. Last little fact is it is one of the last surviving European kingdoms with a constitutional monarchy with King Frederick the X, which I think means 5.
That means 10.
As the current King Frederick the 10th is the current king, and that's pretty recent. The queen abdicated the throne and gave him.
Why?
She was like, I think she's just old, and she was like, why am I doing this? let's get into the cooking corner part of the podcast where I have my friend Alexandra on from the famous Four and Fork blog to talk about Denmark's national dish.
Hey everyone, this is Alexandria from the Four and Fork, a food blog where I'm cooking a meal from every country in the world, and I am so excited to tell you about the dish that I cooked for Denmark, which is actually the national dish of the country. It's called stegt flæsk, and what it is thick slices of pork belly that you kind of cook until the fat gets all crispy and golden, and then you boil some really simple potatoes, and the whole thing gets smothered in a creamy white sauce that's loaded up with fresh parsley. It's kind of one of those dishes that just warms you up from the inside out. It's really good for chilly nights in Denmark or when you just need some good Danish comfort food. And the Danes eat this a lot. It's not just a special occasion kind of dish. You find it in homes all the time, especially because pork is very widely available in Denmark. And it's very hearty, it's affordable, and it definitely hits the spot. Now, my favorite fun fact about Denmark and their history with stegt flæsk is that it is also now kind of an election night tradition, more or less. People will call stegt flæsk now election pork belly. And the reason for this is because in Danish, the word pork is also a slang term that they often use for all of those promises that politicians give during their campaigns that never actually come to fruition. So it's become a tradition to eat this crispy pork and also drink really strong drinks while you're watching their election results roll in, which sounds like a pretty good way to get through election stress, if you ask me. Now, the recipe for this dish is pretty straightforward. You're going to lay out your pork belly slices, drizzle them with olive oil, and give them a good sprinkle of salt. And then you roast them in the oven until they get that like crackly, crispy skin on the outside. And then while that's happening, you're going to boil your potatoes. So you can use any kind of small potatoes. I used like some really small yellow potatoes and just boil them until they're nice and tender. Now, the sauce is where the magic happens. The first time I made this sauce, I made it without some key ingredients and it felt kind of bland to me. But then I ran the recipe by a Danish person that gave me some extra tips, and I'm going to make sure that you know what to put in your sauce to make sure it's delicious. So you're going to make a simple roux with butter and flour. And then once that is kind of thickened into a paste, whisk in some milk and season it up with salt, pepper, and then these are the two things I was missing that made all the difference. A splash of lemon juice and a bit of nutmeg. And that nutmeg really just gives it this like super homey, delicious vibe. And of course, a whole bunch of chopped fresh parsley. So that is going to make your sauce. You pour that all over your pork and your potatoes. And then if you really want an authentic dish, you can throw some pickled beets onto the side if you're feeling extra Danish. And with that, you're good to go. So yeah, that is stegt flæsk. That's the national dish of Denmark and how you make it. It's super crispy, it's creamy, it's comforting. It has a really good mix of textures in the dish, and it's good vibes all around, especially if you have an election coming up. So if you've never tried it before, this is your sign to go give it a shot. I have the full recipe for stegt flæsk on my blog, which is www.fourandfork.com, or you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at the Foreign Fork. Thanks so much for listening, and if you make the dish, don't forget to tag me on Instagram. Put some culture in your kitchen this week.
Okay, now we're going to get into the fun stuff, which is Vikings.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, spit off what you know about the Vikings, and then I'll go.
I know that they were adventurous. What am I putting it? They like their ships, and they... I actually remember reading or hearing that they actually didn't really wear helmets with horns on them, even though I know that that's what they're most famous for. They weren't that horny, but I don't know who spun that, rumor, but yeah, they're not actually that horny. They were, their armor was more or less like what you would expect from medieval, like Europe. They were a very aggressive nation back then. They were very like conquering, right? And their capital is called Kobenhavn.
You're actually right. They never wore horned helmets. That was from a play. A guy named, I think, Robert Wagner. He made a play in the 1800s, and it just was a costume design. And then I bet they did not realize that everyone would permanently think they wore that shit.
Yeah, I know. That's so funny. It just goes to show you the power of a fucking art or play. It's like, oh, they wore that in that one, and now it doesn't matter if it's like a sports team or if it's a play or if it's anything. They are wearing horned helmets, and that's how you know they're Vikings, because of the horned helmets.
And I'm sure they were like, "Ooh, wouldn't it be fun if we just put some horns on the helmet? And they're like, that's a good idea. That's cute.
Yeah,
And
but
then-
like, where did they get the idea from? You're like, oh, they're Vikings. They should have horn helmets. What? Like,
I guess because they're like so fierce, make them scarier, you know? I don't know. I think it'd be fucking scary if I saw like hundreds of men running towards me in general. And then also they have horns on their head. But I bet you the Vikings were probably like, damn, we should have thought about that. Like the horn
I
helmet.
wonder, I just, would it be practical? Like, think about it when you're in battle or something. It's like,
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. That is false. So their history goes way back. It starts in the 1800s, not 18, sorry,
I was
800s.
like, oh,
No, the 800s. And what's interesting is we think of them as these fierce guys, but really they were just farmers back home. Except when they left, they became these like huge warrior pillagers, like these terrifying people that would just go along the coastline and just ravage cities. But then they would go home and just farm and be
That's
like nice little husbands.
that's a major off-leash aggression.
Yeah, like I'm sure. I wonder if like their wives were like, he would never.
Yeah.
He's just
the
farms.
sweet, the way he holds our baby Kobenhavn, he would never.
Kobenhavn. No,
Cuckoo,
never.
cuckoo.
And then they go crazy when they leave their country.
Maybe that's
And
like they got to get the let out, you know, so I can go back home and be a good father.
good father to my son. They actually were called the Viking. The word Viking, it's Viking with an R at the end, just means pirate. They were low key just pirates. Yep. And they were like crazy sailors though. They made it all the way to modern day Russia and even the Middle East.
Wow,
Which is pretty cool.
they probably turned around because like, damn, I'm getting burned.
Yeah. Like, what is this? My skin.
I'm not tanning. I'm not tanning.
I'm not pale and blue eyes anymore.
Yeah, I have blue eyes and I'm very red. Blue-eyed tomato. So
Yeah, they turned that ship around.
Yeah,
Speaking of ships, they're known for their Viking longboats. And I would say look that up if you don't know what it looks like. You probably think of like, oh, it's just another ship. It is stunning. It's kind of looks like a very wide and low canoe with these huge fronts. I don't know how to explain, like swooping fronts that have like decorations and sometimes the shape of dragons on the front.
that's cool. Do you know what the
Yeah.
best kind of ships are though?
I feel like a pun is coming.
No, I would never do that to you.
What is it?
Friendships.
Ew, no, I'm not.
Come on, Marie. It's right
I'm
there.
laughing, but
It's
I'm not
right
doing
fucking,
it.
If you laugh,
I'm
that
not-
counts. That counts. If you laugh.
Or I'm just being nice
No, you're not. No, you don't do that.
because I'm a friend.
You're not nice.
I'm not giving you a pun point for that. Have you seen the ships though? You've seen what they
I
look
actually
like.
have. I think in San Francisco they had one as part of like Fleet Week or something where they had like I mean, obviously they have like the military ships there, and one of the military ships was like this Viking ship that was.
Whoa.
It was like it wasn't obviously a real one, but it was like a replica of one, and I think it was like Eric something. His name is Eric something. Right? He's one of the most famous Viking. Eric the Red. He was a famous Viking explorer, best known for discovering and colonizing Greenland. He was also the father of Leif Erikson, one of the first Europeans to reach North America. Eric earned his nickname due to his red hair and equally red and fiery temper.
Oh, doesn't seem like a vibe.
He seems very red.
Well, that's cool. Well, I do know about the boats. So I don't know about Eric, the red man, but the boats. I was looking into them and I was like, okay, if they are these like seafaring people, how the fuck are they on these boats that like are only a couple feet above the water? Like that has a really shallow hull. And I was like, what do they do in a storm? Where do they sleep? Or what if
I
there's a
think-
rogue wave?
I think that they just paddle through it.
Yeah. Well, I was like, okay, why would they make their boat like that? What's the point of having such a shallow hull? And it was a strategic, so they could move fast into enemy territory.
What if they
And they
speed?
could-
Yeah.
Speed, but they can also go through shallow waters. And they would even go deep
Mhm.
inland into rivers. And they made it all the way to fucking Paris through the rivers.
That
So
would
that's-
imagine that.
so
They're like,
that's
they would show
scary.
very underdressed. You know, they're showing their Viking gear. Everyone's like, "Oh, is that a new trend?" And it's like, actually, we're here to conquer you. So
We're actually here to take over. I don't think they did that much like deep sea exploration. That's besides, I guess, going to Greenland or all the way to North
yeah,
America.
well, I feel like deep sea back then would be like you're just gonna go into the void. It'd be like now like doing a space launch. Like
Yeah.
you're just gonna go into, you're just gonna go straight. Like where are you going? No one knows what the hell's out there, and it's just water, it's just
Ugh.
ocean. So you could literally fucking, especially if you're in this like little narrow boat, or if you're in this huge, massive wooden warship, like you can die. You're still going to die if you don't reach land in T minus what, 2-3 months, 4 months. So I think it was more strategic for them to be equipped for rivers and, quick little shoots over bodies of water, but not to just sail out to the ocean blue and just, hope for the best.
Yeah, they always tried to hang close to the coastline, and they would camp on the beach. So like, where the fuck do they sleep? And they would try to camp on the beach if they could.
Yeah.
Or they would just sleep in the open fucking canoe next to each other. Yeah.
It's cozy.
But it probably was really, really scary if you were like just a little village and then you see like 15 Viking ships just roll up out of the fog.
Oh, fuck that.
And you've heard about them and you're like, oh, we're about to fucking die.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the scariest shit. I mean, imagine if you're like, you live on the outskirts of town, like you're the first one going down. Back then, like you needed to live together close because some motherfucking Viking comes out. You could wake up, one day and go to sleep a free man and wake up a slave.
Yeah, they definitely had slaves. But they did trade sometimes. They didn't always pillage. They did trade. So
that's nice. They didn't just.
It was a mood thing, I guess.
Oh, depends on how red they were.
Yeah, for real. I will say the women though did have it pretty good for the 11 or 1000s. They were called shield maidens, the ones that fought in the battles, and there's evidence that it's believed that the women did fight the Varangian Vikings in a battle against the Bulgarians in 971 AD. And in the mid-18th century, 300 women took to the field in the Battle of Brevalier, which are all famous battles that we are very knowledgeable about. But the women fought, and they were called shield maidens. And if they weren't warriors, they stayed at home, and a lot of them were entrepreneurs. I mean, they ran all the businesses because all the men were out. And they were even allowed to initiate divorce, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah, for
in
this
like
time.
the 1000s.
Yeah.
Usually you're just sold like cattle. You're like, and you're married to this guy. Yeah. And if you ever do anything, we're going to kill you. And they are allowed to divorce.
That's a very radical shift from the rest of Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of like, it kind of gives like Sparta vibes. Because like in Sparta, the women also fought. They also ran the businesses.
Also
and the men...
a war-focused like culture.
Yeah, but the men were
Spartans
always out.
weren't really pirates, though. They're more like straight up like fighters. They're not really
pirates.
People
would hire Spartans to fight for their wars.
Yeah, like mercenary for sure.
Yeah.
But not really pirates. At least they're not known for that.
Can you imagine Spartans versus Vikings?
There's got to be some, what was like Ultimate Warrior shows where...
YouTube.
Right. Good old YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up.
Who do you think would win?
Sparta. Sparta's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
they went their rituals went far beyond any other culture. They were crazy.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like you said, like the Vikings were predominantly farmers who would run out and pillage and then come back. Spartans are like trained warriors from birth.
It's or like, you get left in the woods as a baby if they think you're not good enough.
Yeah.
A baby. So, Sparta. A baby. Yeah, my hand. No, Sparta. Oh, you can come in. He's going to change the towels. You can come in. Hold on.
He's got dirty towels in here. So welcome to my podcast. This is called Kyle Talks to Himself. And we go into the darkest realms of thought, meant to provoke the very threads that make us human. They can also talk about the stuffed toy I see on Marie's bed that looks like it got a little bit more than a hug last night, if you know what I mean.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, you're welcome to my podcast. I was just starting my own podcast.
What the fuck? Who are you talking to?
I told you, I was starting my own podcast called Kyle Talks to Himself.
Oh my God. I was like, I can't wait to listen to it.
Oh, it's fantastic. It was my best one yet, actually.
Don't steal my audience.
Oh, it's already done. They're gone.
Great. Fucking great. And Kyle Talks to Himself. That's actually a good podcast name.
Actually, yeah, it is.
Because that is what podcasting is. You're just fucking talking to yourself, honestly, most of the time.
In this podcast, at least.
Am I?
Yeah, you're really talking at me.
Yeah. We're fucking okay. Yeah, Sparta. We think Sparta or they're gonna fucking win
done.
if there was a battle. Okay, there's Norse mythology, which
Norse.
you'll recognize some of these names: Odin, Thor,
Yeah.
Loki,
Avenger guy. Yeah, sure.
Frey.
But that was Odin's wife, right?
I don't know. I didn't look that much into it.
So we're going back to my podcast now.
Yeah. But they believed dying in battle was the most prestigious way to depart life. This would guarantee you a seat in Valhalla, an enormous hall ruled by Odin, where fantastic banquets were held each night. So it's like, of course they want to die. They're like, well, I want to get to the fun party.
That sounds like a load of horseshit that they sell you to like feel good about doing their dirty work, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you got to do this, but if you die, then hey, I mean, you're going to go to Valhalla. So what are you worried about? I'm going to stay here, but you go die.
I'm going to
stay here. I'll see you in Valhalla when I'm good and ready.
I'll cheers you when I get there.
Yeah,
20 years from now.
One out for you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what the battle was like. That was the way to go. Like, that's how you want to die. So the last part of this Viking section, let's do a little true and false. True or false? True or false, the Vikings, although advanced in shipbuilding and navigation, neglected their hygiene and were known to be wild and hairy beasts as described by their victims because they were at sea the whole time.
Well, that's obviously, the victims, I don't think would have the warmest things to say about the Vikings' hygiene. So I'm going to say actually they were very clean.
True. Yeah, you're right. They were clean. They showered once a week, which is good
for back
then, which is gross. What?
We talked about this. You need to shower more than once a week, okay?
That's not my problem. That's your brother's problem.
Yeah.
He's seriously
I could smell it from here.
Oh my God. Yeah, Chris is just a Viking. They did take care of themselves. Anthropologists have found the use of combs, tweezers, and ear cleaners made from animal bones. And they like took care of themselves despite being on the water at sea like all the time.
Yeah.
True or false? Vikings smoked pot.
True.
It's a maybe, which is an option.
You telling me those fucking farmers didn't come back from their war ways and they want to smoke up the biggest blunt the Norse
had ever seen. There is evidence of cannabis seeds found in some of the graves, specifically the Oseberg grave.
Oh my God,
ship
they're getting
grave.
buried with it. Oh my God! I mean, I enjoy the occasional pot. To be buried with it, damn! Yeah. This guy was Snoop Dogg in the 800s.
It's not even a man. They found it on a woman's body.
Oh,
yeah. They found cannabis seeds on her.
Wow, she must have been pretty fucking high.
Yeah, but the thing is, we don't know how they use the seeds. Did they smoke it? Did they use it for like medicinal things?
I mean, if you think about it, like if the discovery of marijuana, right? This is a time where there isn't like entertainment on your phone or fucking even in your village, right? If you are living in a village and no one knows how to play an instrument, then you guys are just looking at each other, right? And like, that's the conversation. It's literally like, instead of Kyle talks to himself, it's like the whole village just fucking talks to themselves, right? And there's no books, right? Or books are very rare. And so I would have to think that they would enjoy smoking a little weed just to get a break from the monotonous, flat, gray and damp environment that they live in. I would not be surprised. Like, you know what? This moment would be a little bit better with some marijuana. And you know what? Not much has changed. There you go.
Yeah, I definitely think they were getting high. They're like, well,
for sure.
Well, now what? And also, like, it gets dark as shit super early.
For a long, like the sun goes down like noon. It's bad.
Oh, you got to get high.
Yeah. You see the Northern Lights? Oh my God.
That's a new bucket list.
That would be lit.
That would be really good. Yeah. Yeah. I also could see why they were leaving because they were like, it's cold, it's wet, it's flat.
Yeah. And maybe it's like, I need some action. I need some fucking like,
yeah.
I need to like do something because this farming
I need
life,
to go kill a family and take all their poor shit.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I'm so glad sports exist nowadays. Just people get to let out somewhere else,
I have a hot take. Not hot take. I think this is actually a really good take. Instead of wars,
you have a take.
I have a take. Thank you. Instead of wars, we should fight it out in sports.
Oh, can you imagine?
where like, okay, North Korea, you want to fight us? Bring your best fucking men. Let's fight it out in soccer. Probably volley football. Everyone likes football. Rugby would be more interesting because it's like more aggressive.
Yeah, because if it's basketball, then oh man,
We're gonna fucking take all y'all bitches.
we're coming.
But I think football would be the most like agreed upon sport for a worldwide sport. And it's like, okay, Germany, do you have beef with Libya? Okay, you have to fight it out on the field, and you get three times.
Best of three.
Best of three. And then
That'd be
whoever
kinda cool.
wins, that's resolved. And no one dies, and it's fun. And imagine the energy of the crowd because it's like actually about something.
Oh my god.
Come on.
There'd probably be a
brilliant.
fucking war in the stadium, dude. They'd be fighting. The fans would be fighting each other.
Okay, but it's on a micro scale. It's not on a fucking global
Right. I mean,
war
you know,
scale.
like
So
hopefully,
it's like,
yeah, if you did it right, and whatever, maybe not as many people would die, which is always good.
I think this is a brilliant way to like resolve issues.
I mean,
Fight it on the field.
yeah, the thing is that like you look at the nations that win the most gold medals. I mean, they, probably the ones who would end up winning the most wars anyway. So,
Yeah. Recruiting would be a different level.
oh, for sure. Are you kidding? People would get into genetic breeding just to like breed people to be these like,
Yeah. It would change sports.
Yeah,
It would change
it would.
sports.
They would.
But I think it would save lives because I'm like, we had
It
to
would
fight it
change
out on the football
humanity,
field.
honestly.
I don't know. I always thought that'd be cool. And it'd be like maybe it's like this world stadium, like it's neutral territory. And it's like, okay, guys, Brazil has beef with Venezuela. They're going to fight it out this weekend, 3 games in a weekend. That'd be sick.
That'd be fucking crazy.
Someone take this idea and present it to someone.
The next
bigger than me.
UN. Let's go.
Yeah. I forgot what I was talking about. Okay. This is also false that they drank skulls from their enemies.
Okay, well, I
Not
thought you were
true.
supposed to ask me if it's true or false, but I'm going to guess that's false.
Well, I have a feeling you were going to say that one was false.
Yeah, I don't think they
because-
drink. That sounds intense. I mean, especially in a nation where, or like a time where, like, if you get a little poison, you get diarrhea, you're dead, right? Like, I don't think anyone should drink from the fucking skull of a
Ew.
person
Well,
they just met.
But it did happen in Italy and in Russia.
Yeah, for sure. But I would say, to say like they generally did it, no one generally fucking does that. Unless you're like fucking crazy ass society. Jesus.
Yeah, no. Speaking of crazy, the word berserk comes from the Vikings.
Oh, like the berserker, right? Like the warrior.
What?
Like, wasn't like
Berserker.
was it a specific type of warrior?
Yeah, it was like the name of some terrifying Viking warriors who wore bear or wolf skins and howled in battle like wild animals.
Yeah. When they went berserk.
How did you know that?
I don't know. I think I just know.
That's weird.
I don't know. Things
That's
to
very
pick up.
specific.
Yeah, I know.
Last fact, I threw this one in. That's not really has anything to do with Vikings, but 6 million year old vomit was discovered by amateur fossil hunters in Denmark.
That is some information vomit for sure.
Yeah, they found fossilized vomit in Denmark.
Cool.
So, yeah. Okay. Last but not least, we're gonna get into our story. Do you need to take a break?
No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm locked and loaded.
It's locked in. First of all, I've hired a writer, and I want to thank her because I can't stand writing. Thank you, Laura. She's my
Thanks,
friend, my
Laura.
colleague, and my client. And she also has a podcast called The Travel Creator, which is really good. And if the writing is good and witty, it's because of her. So thank you.
Or I'm on
Laura.
the podcast.
Or because Kyle is talking to himself. So, okay. We're getting into it and I had to find where I was. Oh my God. What the
You
fuck?
would not
Where
be
is
the
it?
navigator on a Viking ship.
Wait, what?
We will say that for sure.
Okay, I found it.
Thank
It was right there.
Or it is.
Okay, despite Denmark being the origin of the Vikings, who we now learned were incredible navigators, today we're going to learn about a famous ship from Denmark that was forever lost to the seas. It is a mysterious disappearance of the Kobenhavn.
You said that very muffled.
Because I was watching on TikTok and stuff, and people say in Danish, you're supposed to just mumble the last part of the words. That's how
So
you sound
that was
Danish.
intentional.
Yeah, Kobenhavn.
Right.
But I won't do that the whole time because that's annoying. So
Thank God.
let's get context first. The Kobenhavn was built in 1921 in Lee, Edinburgh, for a company called the Danish East Asiatic Company. At the time it was being built, it was the largest sailing ship to ever exist. So, the Titanic of its age. It was measuring between 350 and 426 feet long, and it had 5 masts. 5 masts.
That's
all
that's a
190
massive
feet
mast.
tall. Yeah, they're fucking huge.
Massive.
Massive. Yeah, not getting a pun point.
Pretty good though.
Sorry. I know. But it wasn't. Okay. It looked like one of those ships you could see like in the glass bottles, like the famous.
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah.
dreamy ships you see.
Well, calm down, Marie.
But
It's just
this
a
is.
ship.
I love paintings of ships. Like I love ships.
Dreamy.
Dreamy, sexy. Yeah, because it's also like the age where they're starting to turn into like steam engines and like industrialization. So this is like it's like an end of an era kind of ship. And it was a huge pride to Denmark, and it is still to this day one of the top biggest boats ever constructed. But what was the purpose of the ship? The purpose was to train young men how to sail. It was quite common for European countries to send crews out on these adventures on the ship to learn how to sail at sea. Because again, it's like the last of the kind of these ships. They're like, I want my son to get out there and learn how to sail a
They
ship.
want to amass some Viking experience.
Yeah, they want to tap into their ancestry. So it was an incredible way to see the world on a sailing ship. Which, would you do it if your parents were like, hey, you
Are
want to
you
go?
fucking kidding? Do I want to sail the world, or do I want to stay on my farm? I'll see you
Are
at the
those your
dock.
options?
I mean, what else did they do?
I don't know. You could be like an artist or like a newspaper writer.
Wait, what? What time? I thought they were about the 800s.
This is like the 1920s.
Fuck. Then I'm just gonna, I would rather do that then.
You want to go sailing?
No, I'd rather just
Oh,
do something else. I don't know. There's so many other things you could do. I thought we were talking about 800s. I was like, yeah, you're either a farmer or you're food. And
yeah. No, this is like the 1920s. As I was saying, like this is the age of industrialization is kind of already happening. This is like one of the last of the great sailing ships.
You're saying Vikings existed in the 1920s?
No, I'm saying Danish people existed.
Oh, well, I had no idea.
The Vikings are over. We're over it. We've moved on.
Oh, we're done with the Vikings. Okay, got it.
We're done with it. This is normal Danish people.
You're done. You're
wanting to learn. I'm done with it. That was good. Pun point. I don't know if that was a pun, but I liked it.
Bingo.
Okay, so besides teaching people, teenagers, how to sail, it was also used as a general cargo ship, which helped offset some of the cost. So it had a lot of use, but also it's already been through hell at this point. For example, in 1925, it caught fucking fire in the English Channel.
It didn't catch fire. It caught fucking fire.
It caught fucking fire, but it still survived.
It's not easy to sink.
And then in 1927, it lost a propeller blade in the Pacific coast off of South America. Still survived. And they're like, she's still good. And even before this historic route and this historic trip we're talking about, in 1921, the ship left Kobenhavn and completely circumnavigated the entire world, sailing 38,326 miles. So it's a great ship, honestly.
I mean, holy shit.
Holy ship. On September 21st, 1928, the ship left Norsundby. It left
You're supposed
Denmark.
to mumble that one too, or?
No, I'm just struggling with that one.
No, I got it.
It left Denmark for Argentina, which is actually a fucking crazy route. That is so long. Yeah, with a shipload of chalk and cement, the Kobenhavn arrived safely on November 17th in Buenos Aires and hung out at port for an entire month, waiting for more cargo to take to Australia.
What?
Yeah. So their route now is Denmark to Buenos Aires to pick up shipment, and then they're going to sail from Buenos Aires to all the way to fucking Australia.
What the fuck?
I flew that this year. I went from America to Australia, and it took forever.
How long would it take?
Well, I went to Europe and it's first. So I did Europe to Australia, and it still took 2 completely different flights. So like more than 24 hours in the air.
Dude, so this is probably like a year of travel then.
No, they're going to do it in 45 days. That's crazy.
That just
Like-
blew my mind.
45 fucking days to like look at a map and see how far that is. And also the
That's like the
waters,
whole, you're traversing the world.
literally, and the waters are so dangerous. Like under South America, under South Africa, like headed to Australia. Those are all very dangerous areas
Yeah.
to sail. I would have stopped there. I'd be like, I'm gonna take a. Well, I guess I can't take a flight back. I would have lived in Buenos Aires. I would have gotten off the ship. I didn't know we were going to Australia. I didn't know that. But
Yeah. Well, Australia at this time is like not the Australia today for sure.
yeah, even when you get there, it's still wild as hell.
Yeah. I mean, mostly I would assume it'd be a lot of farmland, honestly. They're just like very, very developing at that point. Right.
Yeah,
So I bet Buenos Aires is a little bit more developed at least. So
yeah, but these guys are here to sail the world, so they're like,
yeah.
we're game for it. So they got to hang out in Buenos Aires for a month, which is cool. And they were waiting and waiting and waiting for a shipment of cargo to arrive, but it never did, which can be a problem because the whole point of the cargo, not besides making money, is to also stabilize the ship. But the captain was like, listen, guys, we have to go. Like, let's just go. We need to get to Melbourne and we'll just load up on wheat there. And was that small decision by the captain that what sealed their fate? We'll see. And this leads to December 14th, 1928. The ship is en route from Buenos Aires to Australia. And the boys' families had already sent Christmas cards to Australia for them to open when they arrive. And the journey was estimated to take about 45 days, which again is crazy. And they didn't have a GPS, so I don't really know how they got there. So the crew was made up of the master, 4 mates, a doctor, 2 engineers, 3 cooks, 2 boatswains, not sure, 1 carpenter, 1 sailmaker, wireless operator, and 60 young apprentices. The journey started as any seafaring journey does. It was boring as fuck. The most exciting thing that happened was they waved to another Norwegian ship and they were like, we're good. And they were like, we're good. And this happened 900 miles west of the islands that make up the Tristan da Cunha, which will be more important later. 45 days after the Kobenhavn set sail from Argentina, they were supposed to arrive in Australia. But guess who didn't show up? But it's okay at this point because shit happens and they usually are like, maybe the wind took them somewhere. You know, it's okay for right now. No one's really freaking out. That was until February of 1929. It's been like 2 months now. And the ship has never arrived. And now the Australians are sweating because they're now going to have to call Denmark and be like, yo, all your kids didn't arrive. None of the ship isn't here. It's been like 2 months. And they reached out to Lloyd's of London, which is an insurance company. And they asked about if they've heard about the ship. And they're like, no. And what the Australians don't know is that the Danes also hadn't had contact with the ship. And they lost contact with them December 21st, 1928. So no one has a clue where this ship is.
Jesus, that's scary.
Yeah. And it's full of like all these young men, like kids. They're learning how to sail, by the way. They're not proper sailors. They're learning on a ship that's missing now at this point for their lives. On December 22nd, 1928, the ship was declared lost at sea. And the people of Denmark and the families of the boys were absolutely devastated. So as soon as that happened, the Danes were sending out an extensive search. There's a massive ship that's lost. They have no idea where it is. And the oceans they were navigating were huge. So good fucking luck. 4 months after the Kobenhavn was last seen or heard from, the same ship company decided to send out a motorboat called the Mexico to Tristan da Cunha, which is a British territory, a tiny volcanic island out there in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean. That's where they were last seen. It's so remote. It's so remote. Residents of the island had reported seeing a massive ship on January 21st of 1929. But they said that one of the masts had broken. But they said the ship never tried to land. And it was too crazy at sea for them to go try to find the ship. And remember the Mexico? That's the ship the Danes sent out. Well, both the Mexico and the British Royal Navy searched for the Kobenhavn for months. And they couldn't find anything. So the search is considered to this day the longest, farther reaching, and most costly search in the history of maritime service to this day. Like everyone was looking for this ship. And it was on January 1st, 1930, the ship was officially declared missing. Now, we have to get into some theories. So there was worldwide interest that broke out into the ship. The world's largest ship at this point just went fucking missing. And it's full of all these like 60 young men. So there are reports later that there were objects that washed ashore of that island we were talking about, but it can't be conclusively linked that it's that ship. But the people on the island also said, well, it could have been the ghost ship that haunts the South Atlantic Sea called the Phantom Baroque.
Phantom Baroque.
And I was looking into that, and there's like ghost ships out there. Just ships that like have no one on it. Everyone's died, but it's still just going and never crashed.
Like the Black Pearl.
Yeah. That's creepy as fuck.
So they never found it?
No, they haven't found it. So there was reports on the very lonely deserted coast of southwestern Africa that there was a shipwreck. So people went to search for that ship and they still found nothing. And so after this point, they're like, you know what? It's just gone. So one of the theories was that it struck an iceberg in the dark of the fog, which meant the ship sank really quickly and there wasn't enough time for everyone to react. But where they were wasn't really where icebergs were. They were in the tropical oceans. So that doesn't really make sense. The ship could have capsized and the waves could have caused the mast to cover the entire ship, which doesn't give people to get the launch of the lifeboats. Maybe it was a storm. In September of that same year of 1934, a news story came out that a message in the bottle was found on the Bonneville Islands. This message said that Kobenhavn had been blown into the Antarctic, and the crew stood on the ice watching the sea float away to its destruction. But turns out these entries were actually just copied from a novel, and someone made it up, which is so fucked.
Wait.
So someone just like made up a message in the bottle that says like the Kobenhavn like floated to the Antarctic and they watched their ship float out to sea. But it was copied out of a Spanish novel. And that really like broke the hearts of the Danish people again. Cause like, they're like, oh my God. And they're like, no, it was just a fluke. And I think the last theory, I think is the most, I think could actually have happened. So going back to like the deserted sands of Africa, where they said that they had found a shipwreck. There was an article that read from 1934, whitened skeletons in the desert in a shipwreck's boat were believed that all had remained of the Kobenhavn. And it said that they had found 6 to 7 skeletons and a lifeboat smashed on the beach. And that there was naval cloth on these skeletons and that the boat was a Scandinavian type. And they said they had Scandinavian skulls. But it's still, to this day, not proven. So we don't know what happened to that ship, and it's still a mystery. It just went fucking missing. The biggest ship of that time, which, I mean, those waters are so intense down there. And it's just wide open ocean. So
I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible.
Yeah, and the people are still, like, in Denmark, they're still very caught up about the ship, even though it's been, like, actually 100 years later. I found some YouTube comments off this documentary I found, and they're super interesting. One said, my dad was Danish and started working at the East Asiatic Company in 1957. He used to keep a little framed print of the oil painting of the Kobenhavn. Every year at the company Christmas parties, the company would toast her and her crew, and they would thank the boat as a tradition, and they would say skull. So they still at that company would toast them every Christmas. Another one says, my grandfather applied to be on the doomed voyage as a trainee. In the end, he was rejected and assigned to the Denmark instead. Thereby, he survived and went on to be a cargo skipper during World War II, surviving that too, and he went on to become a captain on a passenger ship instead. So this guy wouldn't exist if his granddad didn't get rejected, which probably felt like a hole in his heart at the moment. You know, got rejected from being on this boat, saved his life.
Probably felt like a huge failure and embarrassment. But
then he finds out the boat went missing.
Yeah, that's why, hey, you know, sometimes they say rejection is a blessing in disguise, you know?
Yeah. This one says, my great-grandfather was actually aboard the Kobenhavn when it went missing. My great-grandmother was already pregnant with my grandfather here. Incredibly interesting to know this part of my family history. But he actually lost his great-grandfather to the Kobenhavn. And then the last one said, my great-granddad was on that ship bound to sail to Australia. It was a fine ship. He used to tell about it too. He was so lucky he had an emergency and had to sign off the ship just one day before they were about to sail out. So he could not manage to get back in time and he had to sign out of his contract. When he heard about the rumors at first and later on, when he heard they were real, he was sure that someone had intervened in his life, and he thanks God to have let him live. It's good to hear the real story because there's so many rumors on why the ship has gone. So a couple of these people, like what seemed like a bad situation, an emergency, or they got rejected, saved their life. And the reason why these people can write a YouTube comment on this documentary, because it was of like a bad thing in the moment. Yeah.
Wow. That's in perspective for you.
So that's the tale of one of the largest ships that ever went missing, the Kobenhavn. And it still rocks Denmark to this day. They still want to find it. I do think that the African one makes sense as a theory. If they found skeletons, and it was a Swedish looking ship. Not Swedish.
That
Danish.
might be the closest we get to figuring out what happened.
I also wonder if those people on the island that saw the ship struggling regretted not like trying their best to go reach for it. They saw a ship pass by with one of the masts half broken, but the ship didn't land.
I mean, I wonder why they wouldn't want to go out and help, but they thought it was a ghost ship.
Yeah, but that's the story of Denmark. So today we learned a lot with Vikings and Danish and the sad story of the Kobenhavn. Still a 100-year mystery. Are you feeling like, would you go to Denmark?
I would love to go to Denmark. Okay, I'd love to.
I would say Copenhagen / Kobenhavn, whatever you want to say, is stunning. It's so beautiful. That city is gorgeous. I would love to go.
I would love to go. I have heard so many amazing things about Copenhagen or Kobenhavn or whatnot. And I would just love to go. I don't know. It'd just be like so cool, especially now that we talked about it. One thing, start a conversation about, I was on podcasts about you guys.
Maybe your pickup line to pick up Danish girls. Yeah. It does look like I love cycling, and I would love to go there just to it is a huge cycling culture. And it's flat, so it can't be that hard to cycle most of the country. Well, anything you want to shout out for anything you want people to check you out for? You have a new song out, right?
Oh, yeah. We've got a new song. Check it out. We're on everywhere. Sokojo, Sokojo. Check it out. Where you listen to music.
I'll leave it in the show notes.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is actually the last country of this season. Do you have a recommendation for the next country?
You know what I'm going to say.
I know, but I'm just going to... I'm hoping you say something different. You've been wanting Djibouti for... since day one.
Djibouti.
Do you even know anything about Djibouti?
No, and I want to learn more.
Do you?
Yeah.
Or is it just because it's called Djibouti?
No. What? Marie. The name of our nation has a little to do with something, but I just want to learn more about Djibouti.
What do you think it's like?
Well, I would assume that it's for you to learn and find out, and for me to ask on the next podcast we do, next season, episode 1.
That is it for today's episode. If you have an opinion on which country I should do next season, definitely DM me. My Instagram is @culturecultshow. DM me which country you're dying to learn about. I want to hear from y'all, and I want to hear about what country or cultures interest you. So DM me. I can hear about your choices, and maybe it'll make an appearance for next season. Let's do a country shout out. Today, I want to shout out Saudi Arabia. Oh my God. Even the name of your country is so beautiful. Saudi Arabia. It's just so exotic and beautiful and sexy. And y'all are listening to the show, which is amazing. I have realized I haven't covered any Middle Eastern country yet, which is silly because I love Middle Eastern food and Middle Eastern music. Yeah, I haven't covered a Middle Eastern country, but yeah, I don't even know much about your country. I don't know much about Saudi Arabia. That I do know it's very developed and it's very clean and safe from what I've heard when I did meet people from your country. And it's hot, but also cold because it's the desert. I'm assuming that you get both hot and cold. That's kind of all I know. So yeah, gonna have to cover your country at some point. But thank you, Saudi Arabia, for listening. I don't even know how the hell you found this podcast. That's crazy. Actually, I'm curious how we all find this podcast. I'm so curious because I do no marketing. I really hate social media. That's why I do podcasting. So I'm like, how do y'all finding this podcast? If you're friends with me on Instagram, tell me, because I'm very curious. Is it because of a certain episode or how are y'all finding me? Especially if you're from Saudi Arabia. What's going on? I'm just very curious. But anyways, thank you, Saudi Arabia, for listening. Appreciate y'all. And if you like this episode, share it with a friend. just that simple action of like texting a friend, oh, hey, listen to this podcast. Like that is huge. That's huge about getting this podcast into the right hands and sharing the joy of, learning about the world. So if you know anyone, you have a friend who loves a good laugh and also is curious about the world, text them this episode. It seriously makes a huge difference, because think about it. Like when someone texts you a podcast episode, you will listen to it because you trust your friend, So yeah, if y'all like this episode and you want to share it with a friend, please do. I would love that. Last but not least, I want to shout out my friend Laura. She is the writer of this podcast now. She is the reason, honestly, that it's fucking running, because I've realized over the past few years, I don't love writing. I love researching. I really don't like writing. And it slowed down the production significantly because it was taking me like a month to write one story. And when I hired Laura, it's taken her days. It takes her days to write the same story. Like that is the power of delegation right there. So thank you so much, Laura, for writing the story and being the writer of the podcast now. She's also my client, and I would love for y'all to check out our podcast. Her podcast is called The Travel Creator. So if you are a travel content creator, there's no other podcast out there that you need to be listening to. Her podcast is dedicated for travel creators to grow their content, grow their audience. And she's such a good host. It's a great podcast. So check her out, and I will leave her trailer after the episode so y'all can listen to her podcast. And yeah, thanks for tuning into today's episode, and I will see y'all next time. Cheers.
What if you could trade your content time for travel time? Doesn't sometimes it stress you out when you're creating a bunch of content and you're just thinking, oh, I wish I could be doing literally anything else right now? Yeah, I get it. I'm Laura, and I'm a content developer for travel creators and the owner of Travel Content Writing. I help travel creators find smarter ways to use their content so that they can spend more time working on the parts of their creator journey that actually require their expertise. Because the truth is, you aren't the only one who can write your next Instagram caption, and we all know you have way more important things to do than just that. For the creators I work with, I help them repurpose their content. This means I turn a few pieces of their highest performing content into even more pieces of content. You spend so much time putting together great pieces of content. It really is a shame that most of them only hit the internet one time and in one format. With content repurposing, I help travel creators use what they already have. The benefit is that you get quick growth and get to spend less time on the small details of your content that are just sucking up your time. I also support travel creators and help them grow through newsletter creation. Newsletter creation is slept on in the travel creator world. And in this show, you'll hear why it's the secret to creating a rock-solid, big community and how you can get started. So why should you even trust me to help you write your travel content or even just give you advice on how to write your travel content? Well, I'm a writer by trade. I have been doing this writing thing for a while now. I've been a content developer for businesses in a wide variety of niches, so I know a thing or two about sounding like your brand. I've also been working in digital marketing since 2018. I've even had some pretty amazing opportunities to work with travel influencers by helping them reach new people in less time. I won't read you all of the nice things that my clients say about me here, even though the Leo in me would really love that. But if you want to see them, they are on my website, travelcontentwriting.com, if you're feeling nosy. I almost forgot to mention, I am a digital nomad. I have not spent more than 3 weeks in one place since 2021. So although I'm not a travel blogger, I do know what it's like to squeeze work into those times when you're actually in front of your computer. But almost 2 years ago, I saw what you were going through as a travel creator. I love to travel myself. And after falling onto the travel side of Instagram, I kept seeing stories of travel creators saying things like, sorry, I haven't shared about this trip yet, or I'm behind working on content from X destination, but stick around for it. Basically, I was seeing left and right creators who struggled to write content or even be consistent in their content that really connected with their audience and gave them time to create even more valuable pieces of content. I was kind of shocked, actually. I remember thinking, surely there has to be a way or a solution for travel creators to manage all of this content without going crazy. And that brings us to this podcast. This podcast is where travel creators can come to learn how to up their content game and be strategic with where they use their content time. This is not where you'll find quick growth schemes or how to do this to get 1,000 followers in 30 minutes. No, I'm not here to give you more noise. I'm here to cut through the bullshit of travel creator advice and give you tangible, real tips in 15 minutes or less that you can apply to your content so you can do more of what you need to do to help you advance your creator journey. Here is what you can expect to learn on the podcast this season. We'll be talking about what content repurposing is and why it's important for travel creators. We will also be setting up a content organization system I know you've been putting off. We'll even talk about why you should start a newsletter and how. And we'll dive into one of my favorite topics, why it matters that you don't own your social media content and what the heck you can do about it. We'll also be talking about how you can increase your email open rates, how to know what content is worth repurposing, how to steal like an artist, and why you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you start creating content, and even what I wish travel creators didn't do when trying to organize their content. If any of that sounds like it might be helpful or you're interested in learning more, you can expect to find new episodes out wherever you love to listen every Thursday. And if you're really excited about this and want to help me out, you can share this with a friend or even leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you'd like to do some stalking, you can find me on Instagram at Travel Content Writing. Thanks for listening, happy creating, and I'll see you soon.